Mermaids. Just myths, some say. But for others, these beings are far more than folklore. They blur the line between the spiritual and the physical, creatures of both beauty and terror, luring mankind into the depths for millennia. From ancient scriptures to remote island encounters, tales of mermaids, mermen, and mysterious marine spirits refuse to fade. In the lands of the ancient Philistines, a god known as Dagon was worshipped. In old texts, Dagon is described as part man, part fish, a figure eerily similar to what we now call a merman. This being wasn't just symbolic. He was a real deity with temples built in his honor across Gaza and Ashdod. The Bible even references Dagon in 1 Samuel, describing how the statue of Dagon fell on its face before the Ark of the Covenant. Some say Dagon was simply a metaphor, but what if he was a remembrance of something real? A creature from the deep worshipped not just in Canaan, but in Mesopotamia before that. A fish god known as Oans, who rose from the sea to teach mankind wisdom. The imagery is too precise to ignore. These weren't just gods. They may have been the first documented accounts of merfolk. Fast forward thousands of years, and people are still encountering them. Take the early 1600s. A farmer named Thomas Roald saw something strange off the coast of Wales. He called others over, and together they watched a bizarre, half-human creature in the water for 3 hours. It wasn't just a fisherman's tale. The sighting was documented and even illustrated, showing a monstrous fish with the torso of a woman. Could this have been a mermaid, surviving far beyond the time of myths? The Nordic regions told their own stories. In a 13th century Norwegian manuscript, there is mention of a merman. Not a handsome sea prince, but a towering monster rising from the ocean with shoulders like a man and no hands. Witnesses said his presence always signaled doom, storms, shipwrecks, disaster. These were not friendly visitors from the sea, but omens of death. Then there's the legend of the Mami Wata, a name whispered across Africa. Mami Wata means mother of water, and she is no simple fish woman. She's a water spirit, feared, loved, and still worshipped to this day in parts of West, Central, and Southern Africa. She is beautiful, seductive, and dangerous. Sometimes she appears with flowing black hair, other times with pale skin and gleaming eyes. Those who see her might gain wealth, power, or vanish forever. In Zimbabwe, dam workers once reported pale-skinned, dark-haired figures with fishtails lurking in the water. These were strong, seasoned men, not ones to scare easily. But what they saw shook them so deeply that many of them quit their jobs and refused to return. Some said the creatures attacked. Some said they dragged people into the depths. When a second crew was brought in, outsiders unfamiliar with the local legends, they too encountered the same beings. The construction only continued after local elders performed rituals to appease the spirits in the water. According to African belief, when Mami Wata takes someone, she doesn't just kill them. She draws them into a spiritual realm. Some who return are changed forever, with dry clothes, strange knowledge, and a spiritual awakening. This isn't unique to Africa. It mirrors stories from South America, the Caribbean, even the ancient Near East. It's as if different cultures were describing the same entity and attributing her with divine or supernatural power. One such account comes from the Indonesian island of Morotai. Rain Millard, a U.S. Navy man, was stationed there when he saw something that would haunt him forever. A group of fishermen were pulling a thrashing creature from the sea. He assumed it was a shark. But as he got closer, he realized this was no ordinary catch. It looked human. Too human. The fishermen casually called it a mermaid. Millard begged them to release it. They refused. As the creature thrashed in the net, Millard saw a being with a dolphin-like lower body, a humanoid torso, and coarse features. Not the beautiful siren of storybooks, but something raw and real. It had pink-red skin, thick body hair, and long hands with 4 fingers and 2 thumbs. It wept like a child, and then it died. The islanders claimed these beings lived in schools, avoided humans, and came ashore only at night, crawling onto beaches before vanishing at the first sign of danger. To them, they weren't legends. They were animals, real, hunted, and feared. But the idea of mermaids being physical creatures is only part of the story. What if they are spiritual in nature? The Book of Enoch suggests something dark behind the legend of the Sirens. In chapter 19:2 it states, "And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens." These were not sea creatures, but human women, cursed and transformed for their role in corrupting mankind alongside the fallen watchers. Their punishment? To become alluring, soulless beings, doomed to haunt the oceans and seduce others into damnation. No longer human, but not entirely beast either. This paints a terrifying image. That sirens, and perhaps all mermaids, are the remnants of spiritual corruption. That they are cursed, and their seductive song? Not a gift, but a tool of destruction. The Greek sirens once had the bodies of birds, but by the Middle Ages they were portrayed as fish-tailed women, a change influenced by these evolving beliefs and Christian allegory. Vanity, lust, and temptation, all tied to the image of the mermaid combing her hair beside the sea. This ties directly into the idea of marine spirits, entities referenced in Scripture and heavily discussed in deliverance ministry circles. The Bible speaks of demonic forces in the water. In the Gospel of Mark, when Jesus casts out the legion of demons, they enter pigs, which then throw themselves into the sea. This wasn't random. The sea, in biblical symbolism, is often a place of chaos, death, and spiritual darkness. The spirits didn't just die, they went home. Marine spirits, as understood in many African Christian traditions, are demons that dwell in water. They offer wealth, seduction, and dreams of success, but demand spiritual allegiance in return. They are deceptive, powerful, and proud. The Bible even names their king, Leviathan. Leviathan isn't just a metaphor. In Isaiah 27:1 it says, "In that day the Lord will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, and he will slay the monster that is in the sea." Psalm 74:14 declares, "You crushed the heads of Leviathan, and gave him as food to the people of the wilderness." A creature, slain, consumed, real. In Job, Leviathan is described as a terrifying beast no man can tame, breathing fire, armored with scales, and stirring the seas into boiling foam. But many believe this beast also represents a spirit, one of pride, rebellion, and destruction. In modern spiritual warfare teachings, the Leviathan spirit is seen as the root of stubbornness, arrogance, and division. It twists truth, just as its body twists in the sea. So what does this all mean? It means that mermaids, whether called sirens, Mami Watas, marine spirits, or Leviathan's children, may not be just folklore or harmless legends. They may be something far more ancient, far more intelligent, and far more dangerous. Beings caught between two worlds. Spirits that can appear and vanish. Entities that promise power but bring ruin. From the shores of Africa to the pages of ancient scripture, from Norwegian manuscripts to modern military encounters, the pattern is undeniable. These beings do not age, they do not fade, and they are not gone. They simply vanish. Until the next time someone sees movement just beneath the waves. So the next time you look out at the ocean and feel that eerie pull, remember, there are stories older than history that still haunt the deep. And perhaps they are not just stories at all.